This week, Nick Saban is preparing to take some young men and turn them into instant multimillionaires. The NFL Draft kicks off on Thursday night from Cleveland, Ohio. And after a year where the draft was done virtually, it's back to being an in-person, on-site affair. And with that being said, brand new week, hot energy right here on the hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, the hype man for all things Crimson Tide. Football information, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming here from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming you the show on YouTube. Speaking of a channel, go ahead right now, give us a thumbs up right now, hit that like button, turn those notifications on, hit that subscribe button also, so that way you can have the latest in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can also catch the stream on Facebook and Twitter as well. So all forms of social media, we got you covered as we're bringing you all things Bama on this evening. Gotta give a shout out to my man John Ivory in the building in the production studio one time, doing his thing. We got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and we want you, the Alabama football faithful, in on it. And you can be in on it by calling 205-448-1358. That is the number to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Once again, a lot to get into, a lot to discuss. Of a daily super chat goal, $75 daily super chat goal there. Appreciating everybody for helping us out here where the show is concerned. But we get it cracking right now. Topic number one of the conversation, and it goes to, if you guys didn't notice this throughout spring practice for the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban was more joyful than ever, more joyful than usual when discussing this defense. And whether it was the scrimmages, press conferences after the spring game, just throughout the spring in general, he was overjoyed talking about this defense, and he named certain players. He brought up Will Anderson. He brought up Christopher Allen. He brought up LeBron Ray. He brought up Tim Smith. He brought up JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry. He brought up Jagan Armour Davis. He brought up so many guys defensively because Coach Saban feels, and he knows, I may have the best defense I've ever had in my tenure here. And Coach Saban entering year number 15 at the University of Alabama here in the coming fall. And I go back to just the spring game, the Tide had maybe 2 to 3 mental errors on defense, and we all remember him getting after one Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he jumped down everybody's throat at the spring game who had a mental mistake just due to he sees an elite group. He sees a group that's more than capable of dominating college football, of running with college football, and repeating, as national champions, and the defensive aspect being the side of the ball that can take some control, that can take some ownership, that can take a lot of the responsibility, if you will. So he knows what he has in this year's group coming up here in the fall, and especially with some summer enrollees coming in, and I'll get to that part here in just a second. But I go back to how we ended last week's show, and we had some of you as fans calling in, voicing your opinion about Bryce Young doesn't need to win the Heisman Trophy. If he does, that's great, but he doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need to put that type of pressure on himself. All he has to do is execute the game plan, play within himself, play with the confidence that we know he has, get the ball into the hands of the playmakers on the outside, because Alabama is going to have that defense that's going to back him up, that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of him. And I can understand exactly where you, the fans, are coming from, because to me, ever since 2018, the game has shifted more so towards the offensive side, and we all know this, but this is a group defensively that's tired of hearing you're no longer good, you're no longer great, you're no longer stellar, you're no longer dominant, you've taken a back seat to everybody else, and they're tired of hearing that noise, and they're ready to shush it up, to can it, to shut it down, and to show people and to show college football as a whole that this defense can make some serious things happen. And just for me, I know Coach Saban mentioned in the Louisiana Coaches Association call that he had that he knows the game has changed. He knows the game has evolved, and he doesn't see these types of offenses slowing down anytime soon. And he kind of equated the offensive coaches in today's game to that of Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Coach Saban has a very serious sense of humor here, but we also know that in Saban's heart of hearts, deep within his psyche, she knows this defense can still do it. We can still have a solid defense. We can still have a strong, fierce, highly competitive unit. We can still have a group that when it's time to shut some folks down, we can still have a group that can do that. And that's not only lodged into the psyche of Coach Saban, that's also lodged into the psyche of you, the fans. And it is very hard to separate the art from the artist. I mean, the word art is in the word artist. So the art comes from the mouth or comes from the pen or comes from whatever canvas this artist puts their type of work on. And it's the same thing defensively. You cannot separate Nick Saban from defense. He is defense. He's been taught defense ever since, from childhood, playing pee-wee football to little league to high school football to college ball all the way up. He's been put around he's been mentored by some of the greatest defensive minds to ever play the game, whether it was Don James or even down to Bill Belichick. Saban has been well-groomed to be on that side of the ball, so it's built within him that I know I can produce spectacular defenses. I know that I can produce high-level, big-time, great play defense, and he's not going to let that side of him, or he's not going to let the way he's been brought up kind of slip by the wayside, so to speak there. So for me, when you just look at the teams in years past prior to this past season, when you discuss the 2009 team, the 2011, the 2012, the 2015, and 2017 Alabama groups, and though I understand the game's changed, the game has evolved, those years where Alabama had won national championships, it was a healthy balance between the offense and the defense. You still had talented offensive players on those teams, whether it was Trent Richardson or Mark Ingram or Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, or Jacob Coker, A.J. McCarron. You still, Tua Tagovailoa also, Jalen Hurts, you still had talented offensive players on those teams, and you had talented offensive minds on those teams. Lane Kiffin, Jim McElwain was a pretty talented offensive mind. Doug Nussmeier did what he had to do. But the point being is there was a balance there. The offense at any given point could give you 30 to 40 points per game, when you need to do that. And then you still had that defense that came in and shut things down and got sacks to the quarterback and created turnovers and turned those turnovers into points. So you had a healthy balance on both sides of the ball. This past season, it started off with the offense taking more of the control. Now, the defense, it got better. It improved as the season went on. As the season progressed, you start to see, some instances of groups of years past started to make its way in with last year's defensive unit, but it was more so the offense taking control for the most part. Now, this upcoming season, we're looking at seeing a defense that wants to be more so in control. It was ahead of the offense throughout the spring. It was ahead of the offense in the spring game with the deep group that this unit had, whether it was on the defensive line, in the linebacker room, or in the defensive secondary. Deep group, dominant group, sound group, wanting to make plays happen. And it is really scary when you think about all of the maestros, the orchestras that Saban had on defense. 2009, you look at the Rolando McClains, the Terrence Codys, the Eric Anders, the Kareem Jacksons, the Mark Barons, the Donta Hightowers, the Justin Woodalls. You look at all those guys that blended in together, and you had a stingy defense on that group. And then you have the 2011 defense with Donta Hightower and Courtney Upshaw leading the way. And that group led the nation in all 5 major categories, including scoring defense, giving up 8.2 points per game. You have the 2012 group led by C.J. Mosley that was incredibly stingy. And then you have a 2015 group which introduced us to the dynamic duo that was Reggie Ragland and Reuben Foster. And then you had Eddie Jackson in there. You had Marlon Humphrey, Mika Fitzpatrick in there. And this is with a no-fly zone. And the secondary is starting to be born. And that was a stingy group. And then the 2017 group, they had the likes of talents that it had with Deron Payne and guys like Quentin Williams and Isaiah Buggs and once again Minka Fitzpatrick, Sean Deion Hamilton, Rashaan Evans. Just so much talent around the entire defense. So all of those guys Saban had, and you look at this is the group. Saban is singling out this group. This is the group, defensive front and secondary. This is the group that could be the best of the Saban era. This is the group that could be the most elite group Saban has ever had in his tenure as a head coach in Tuscaloosa. That's a very exciting thought. That's a very joyful thought, especially with you're going to have a schedule in the upcoming fall where off the rip you're facing a athletic quarterback and De'Aaron King for the Miami Hurricanes. That's a test right off the bat. You're going to go up against a Lane Kiffin who's already trolling you on social media. You're going to go up against teams like LSU that believe, hey, we come to Tuscaloosa, and the last time we were at Tuscaloosa, we made Big Al cry. We took Nick Saban down. We beat him 46-41. Now, yes, LSU only won that game by 5 and escaped Brian Denny. But LSU fans don't think that way. They feel like, hey, they came in here, they just took it all, from the Crimson Tide in that manner. So you face LSU. You face a Florida team under Dan Mullen. That's a pretty hungry group. You face an Auburn team next year with this upcoming season. You have to go to Jordan-Hare Stadium over there in Auburn to take on that program. So this is a defense that wants to stake its claim as, yes, the offenses have been great. Yes, the offensive side of the ball has been dynamic, but we're deep, we're tenacious, we're hungry, we're fierce, we're dangerous. Nobody's going to want to mess with this group in the upcoming season. Saban very joyful about this group, very excited about this group, very jubilant about this group because he senses I have right here in Tuscaloosa the best defense in my tenure, and I'm going to make sure nothing slips, nothing falls by the wayside, that we handle business in the upcoming season as the Crimson Tide tries to repeat as national champions. But, folks, we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we get your phone calls. We take your thoughts, your tweets, your super chats, your ideas, your questions. We get to a dialogue with you, the Tide faithful, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
Such Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Hey, we're back in, folks. We're back in from the break. I'm more informed for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, getting you guys started off here on a Monday NFL draft week. But also, people, keep in mind, we got a new print magazine coming out. Touchdown Alabama Magazine, new print magazine coming out soon here. If you want to be one of the first to cop the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, become a subscriber, become a member today. The magazine's got an exclusive interview with one Mac Jones in there. So go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, become a member, subscriber today to cop the new print edition of the magazine that is coming out soon. But as we're back in from the break, we're going to get to your phone calls right now. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That is the number to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We take our first call of the evening, coming from the pimp man himself, Senator Hines, calling in. My brother, what's going on?
What's going on, big brother? How you doing today?
Man, doing great, man. The week of the NFL draft, I'm tired of all the speculation. Can we get the first team on the clock and start the draft?
Exactly. Let's go ahead and figure it out. Because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm at a point now as far as fanhood. When it comes to the NFL, I just root for former Alabama players. You know, I don't have a team anymore. I grew up a Falcons fan. I've always been a Falcons fan, but you know, I still rep them, but I'm more into following our players. So I'm feeling you on that end. But I wanted to create some dialogue today with my phone call. And just to piggyback off of the opening with you talking about Alabama's defense probably being the most talented group and having the possibility to be in the greatest under Saban. But you got to understand, if that makes them the greatest under Saban, that will make them one of the greatest defenses of all time. We talking about 01 Miami defense, you know, better because 2011's defense statistically matched some of those great defenses of previous times. So, and I don't see us statistically being a better team because the college football has evolved. To give up 200 plus yards a game or 250 yards a game, and you know, to average giving up 9 to 12, 14 points a game, that's very rare nowadays, you know, because the offense is the advantage, the way rule changes has happened, it plays into the advantage of the offense. So, but I do see in this being a dominant defense, Steven. I'm just looking at the defensive line. We're like 8 deep at D-line. These guys could really go anywhere. It's like 8 of them can go anywhere right now in the nation and start for any team. And I mean, that's UGA, and we know how talented those guys are. So I just wanted to create a dialogue and see what you thought about it, especially on that front seven, Steven. That front seven is deep. I'm looking at Montclair Goodwin, who might not see the field a lot this year unless some crazy injuries happen. But that guy is a beast, him and Jamil Burrows. And then you go a level above them, you got guys like Kendrick Blackshear coming in this summer. Like, it's crazy, man. But I just want you to expound on that. I'm not going to hold you up long today, man. Just give me a feedback on that, brother.
I understand where you're coming from, Senator. I do. I mean, I understand, yes, the game is changing. Yes, things have evolved. I'm just saying that when you look at Nick Saban, it's hard to separate him from defense. He knows the game is changing. He's expressed that. But I still feel like somewhere in the back of his mind, he knows we have a chance at Alabama to kind of recapture what we had from those recent defenses of years past, with the exception of last year's group. But I understood exactly, Senator, where you're coming from there. We appreciate that call coming from our own Senator Hines, giving us a little dialogue there on the defense. We take our next call of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on? We lost that call there, but you guys continue to get your calls in, 205-448-1358. That's the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you on this evening. But cool topic right now, and it goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Folks, I don't know what John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and the 49ers are going to do. I mean, 1 minute they're saying, we want Mac Jones. The next minute they're saying they want Trey Lance. The next minute, here comes Kyle Shanahan going, well, there's 5 quarterbacks we could have right now. So it's crazy. But according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, he reported last night, citing sources, that the 49ers have narrowed their quarterback options down to 2 guys. That's Mac Jones and Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. And, I mean, to me, when you look at this, I understand so many people in terms of the national media have spoken on if you're trading up to get a quarterback, you got to get somebody nowadays that can move. This is today's NFL. You have to be able to create instant offense. You have to be able to move, break in 10 of the pocket, have that mobility, that dynamic athleticism that wows people, that impresses people, that puts butts and seats and sales merchandise and things of that nature. But I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here, if you will. Playing quarterback in football is much like being a guard in basketball. You can be a highly athletic, a highly explosive guard, just getting to the bucket, making those explosive tomahawk dunks, if you will. But at some point in your career, your athleticism is going to fade. And at that point, you need to know how to be able to get your teammates involved, create shots for others, but not just that, be able to have that mid-range jumper or that three-point shot. Because if you don't, you're going to fall by the wayside. And it's the same thing here in football. Yes, you can be able to run all around the field and create plays with your legs, and that's fun, that's cool, that's sexy, that's dandy and all of that. But what happens when your athleticism breaks down? What happens when you take too many hits and your body's like, hold on, Pimp Juice, hold on, her bruh. I can't get hit no more. You damaging me, man. Don't you want to play with your kids when you get older? Don't you want to be able to play with Junior, and your little daughter running around? We getting hit, man, down. Pimp 32, pimp in distress. So your body taking all those hits. So at some point, you got to be able to understand, I got to be able to maneuver within this pocket, distribute the ball down the field to my weapons, my receivers in space, leading them accurately with passes and understanding how defenses are going to play me in pre-snap and post-snap, whether they're playing me cover 3, cover 2, cover 1 safety high, whatever they're giving me on the field. I got to be able to eat through that as if it's Captain Crunch cereal. So at some point in time, as a quarterback, yes, the running's good. Yes, the mobility is good. Yes, the athleticism is great. But at some point in time, these coaches, these owners, these GMs, they want to see, can you sit back there in that pocket, read that defense pre and post snap, get the ball out to your targets in space, and be that field general out there in the venue in question. But it's going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do. Do they take Mac Jones? Do they take Trey Lance? The personnel department wants Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan wants Mac Jones. It's a running frenzy over there on the West Coast, but we'll see what happens. We got to get to a couple of super chats here before we take our break. How about Gucci Tide, folks, in the building? Gucci Tide, that $10 donation. Appreciating that love from him and Senator Hines, Pimp Gang, Senator, dropping in that $25 donation, helping us out here on the show. Once again, folks, that daily super chat goal, $75, daily super chat goal. We take a break right now. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we will dive into one Naji Harris as he's preparing for the NFL draft on Thursday night. She made a comment about how Alabama practices are tougher than the games. We'll get into Mr. Harris's comment, and we'll break it down after this.
You know know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back into the action here, folks, on a Monday, getting that work week and NFL draft week started all for you correctly on the hottest ticket here for Alabama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We get into now one Naji Harris, of whom is preparing for the draft, projected to go in the first round. And he's been training this entire time in Texas with one Adrian Peterson, former NFL legend, along with some other coaches down that he's been able to work with in the Lone Star State. But I thought that Harris had was, in discussing the Crimson Tide, as competitive, as fun as the games are that Alabama plays, especially this past season, having that conference-only schedule, those 10 SEC games, and then the college football playoff taking on the likes of Notre Dame and Ohio State, having the perfect season, capping it off there with a national championship. Harris said the practices are actually tougher than the games. The practices are more competitive than the games. The practices put you in more so of an evaluation mindset than the actual games. And to me, I understand that because a lot of former players have said this. A lot of former guys have talked about how Coach Saban puts it on you in those practices. He grinds you in those practices. He's evaluating you in those practices. He's providing structure in those practices. He revs up the competition. He stacks the deck of competition in those practices. And when you, as Harris said, when you recruit for number one defensive lineman, the number one linebacker, of a number one defensive back. When you recruit number ones, when you recruit high forward and major 5 stars at every single skill position, when you recruit the Mr. Football from every single state to come play here at the University of Alabama, you're going to get everybody's best in practice. It's the battle of mental toughness. Coach Saban likes to say, what does it take to break you? How far can I go? How far can I push you as a coach to where I break your will, I bend your will, and I force you to kind of conform to what the standard is at Alabama football, which is effort, excellence, commitment, toughness, discipline, all of those things that when you walk inside the Alabama football practice facility, you see these words, you see these terms that mean something. You see these terms that mean the Alabama football moniker, the mantra, if you will, of what this program is about. And, Naji Harris discussed how when you walk into these practices, that's the standard, that's the idea, that's what you have to uphold, as a player, having that toughness, having that commitment, having that effort, that energy, that discipline, that hard work to go up against guys that are on your same level, and even some guys that may be a little bit better than you, but you want that competition, you want that sweat, you want that drive, you want that that friction. You want that mano in mano. You want to show I'm the bad man. I'm the biggest and bad man on the block, and I'm going to prove that every single practice that I step out here, on this field. And that's what Coach Saban encourages. And we've even seen this for players that are on NFL rosters right now in terms of the Crimson Tide. You've seen former players talk about, man, this ain't nothing, man. I'm in the NFL, man. We worked harder than this at Bama. And whether this is Mack Wilson saying it, or Quinnen Williams saying it, or Deron Payne, or Jonathan Allen, or no matter who the particular or respective player is that says the statement, you can always get some Crimson Tide player coming up to the media while he's in the NFL and talk about, I thought pro ball was going to be hard. I thought pro ball was going to be difficult. I thought pro ball was going to be tough. I mean, yes, it's hard, but it ain't nothing compared to what Nick Saban put me through at Alabama. It ain't nothing compared to what Scott Cochran, when he was here, put me through at Alabama. It ain't nothing compared to what my position coaches put me through at Alabama. It ain't nothing compared to what these guys had me doing at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, running up the bleachers of Brian Denny. It ain't nothing that they had me going through 2-a-days and sweating, and 3-a-days, flipping tires and running drills and running 110s and doing suicides. And I'm sitting here puking up and passing out and wondering am I going to make it through the next day because the coaching staff put it on me here, where playing at Alabama is concerned. So it's a big thing. And I've experienced this myself even in the working media. I have been to practices where the coaching staff has put it on these players to where I have seen players passed out. I have seen players going, Coach, I was high. I was late. Coach. And they tongue hanging out their mouth and say, it's like, are you dead? Are you dead? You ain't dead because you complaining. You ain't dead because you yawning. You ain't dead because your tongue sticking out. Give me some more. Give me some more. And he throws the straw hat at him. Give me some more. And then you see Scott Cochran going, yeah, you think you're tired. You ain't tired. Are you a doctor? Can you operate on yourself? No, you can't operate on yourself. Give me some more. Give me some more. Hit me another time. Hit me another time. You ain't dead. You a full-blooded Bentley. You just waiting for them spinners to be put on you. Oh, you don't want your spinners? You must not want your spinners. I'm going to give your spinners to a walk-on then. I'm going to give your spinners to a 3-star then. How about that? How about that? So you got that coming at you. So you have all these things in practice coming at you. And I saw this. I've been able to witness this firsthand when you discuss Touchdown Alabama Magazine and the joy that I've been able to get covering this program going into my 13th season coming up here. So I understand what Naji Harris is talking about. Once you get to the game, that's where the fun is. Once you get to the game, that's where the excitement is. That's where the thrill is. That's where you can finally just empty the tank of all of this animosity, and not animosity, but all of this anger, all of this frustration, all of this passion, all of this fierceness. That's when you can unleash it on the other team, because you've been dealing with it, all summer long, all spring long, all practice long, dealing with your position coaches, dealing with your strength coaches, dealing with Coach Saban, and dealing with your teammates on an everyday basis. So by the time that you get to the actual game, you're like, okay, Saban's been giving it to me all week. There's nothing that this guy on the opposite side of the ball gonna do to me. Man, Coach Cochran been riding my butt all week. Or David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray been riding my butt all week. So ain't nothing that this other team on the opposite side can do to me that I've already went through all week. I mean, I've had to go against the best offensive line all week. I've had to go against the best defensive line all week. I had to go against the best safeties and corners all week, the best receivers and running backs all week, the best linebackers all week. I had to go against the best team all week, that being my brothers wearing the same crimson jersey that I'm wearing. So by the time the bus parks, by the time the plane touches down at the actual game, at the actual venue, there's nothing that the opponent can show me or do to me that I'm not already properly prepared for, that I'm not already ready to face or to encounter, because, heck, I played at Bama. I've been dealing with this all week in practice. So 100% I agree with what Naji Harris had to say there, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes in relation to the first round of the NFL draft. But we take our next break here on the show. We're still getting your chest warm, talking Tide football. Upon our return, we go back to a dialogue with you, the Tide fans, as we jump back into the phone lines. We'll take your conversations after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, we are back in from the break here on a Monday. Number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, getting your draft week started off correctly, your work week started off correctly. And before we get to the super chats and your phone calls, got to remind you of mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag, sponsor the TDA. You're feeling lucky, you're feeling fortunate, you feel like you got the swag, the skills to pay the bills when it comes to wagering on these Alabama football games or any game for that matter. You check out our guys at mybookie.ag. You make the right play, sign up today, and when you do, use the promo code TDAlabama to get your deposit matched halfway. That's all the way up to $1,000. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. Check them out right now. mybookie.ag. That is mybookie.ag. Got some super chats to get to right now. We start things off with Roll Tide and Rise Up. Roll Tide and Rise Up giving us that $25 donation from Roll Tide and Rise Up. $25. Appreciate him. How about Kraft King of One in the building? That $24.99 coming from Kraft King of One. And then we got here from Caleb Kraft one. And then we got Willie 351, that 777 coming from him. So appreciating Roll Tide and Rise Up, Kraft Caleb 1 and Willie 351 helping us out on the show. The daily super chat goal of $75 has been met because of you, the Bama faithful, the Bama fans out there. Appreciating you guys for all the love that you show to us here on the show. But we go to your phone. Go to the phone lines to take your calls. 205-448-1358. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. As you're getting your calls in here, we go to a topic involving one Julio Jones, one of the greatest ambassadors, if not the greatest ambassador for Alabama football, playing for the Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons are now opening up trade talks. There is actual trade conversation with the Falcons involving Jones, who was first-round pick number 6 overall in the 2011 NFL Draft. The Falcons traded up to get Julio, and he has been an absolute blessing and the face and the best part and the best thing that has ever happened to that organization. And for the life of me, I feel like Julio's career has been wasted for the Dirty Birds, but that's neither here nor there. There are trade talks happening right now for Julio, where the Falcons are concerned. They're willing to come off his $15.3 million deal and pass that on the books of somebody else. But the caveat is, or the catch is, it will have to be done by June 1st or after June the 1st, just due to the Falcons are tied up where their funds are concerned. When you look at Matt Ryan, he is owed a little bit over $40 million this upcoming season. And then the next season, he's owed about $25 million, if I'm not mistaken. So if you try to get rid of him now, the Falcons would take a very massive cap hit. And this is the reason why Atlanta is not pressured to take a quarterback in this draft. They could draft one, but you have to think, if they take a quarterback, would they be able to pay the guy henceforth the money that they're kicking out to one Matt Ryan? So with all of this being discussed, when you bring up Julio Jones here, they're opening up trade talks, they're opening up trade conversations, they're trying to figure out who would be the best suitor for Jones, but that will not happen until June the 1st or shortly after that, as Atlanta's trying to figure out its money situation here. But we take a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
It's all about the youth. It's all about the youth. You coming back there, baby. It's all about the youth.
We got Miami fans calling in. We got Miami fans calling in. They're excited about this matchup. I'm excited about this matchup between the Crimson Tide and the Miami Hurricanes coming up in Atlanta on September the 4th, if I am not mistaken. Saturday, September the 4th, I'll fact check that, but that's going to be a great matchup. But hopefully, whoever gets Julio, get him, make use of him, and more, please help this man get him a Super Bowl. Because, I mean, Atlanta. What am I going to do with you, Atlanta? What am I going to do with y'all? But we take a break here on the show. When we get back, we will dive into a conversation on summer enrollees. The summer enrollees coming to Alabama either late May, early June. Who would be my top 5 summer enrollees for the Tide that can potentially make an impact in the upcoming season? We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
You're rocking and rolling here with the best and the baddest here, folks. In my own word, George Truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. From the break, got the man John Ivory on the ones and twos in the production studio. And before we get into final topic here on the evening, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So for you fans still overjoyed with the Tide's national championship, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you get you an 18 of them things, folk. Hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs which features all 18 championship years on the back of those shirts. You go to TDAwear.com, do it right now, TDAwear.com, and you go to the championship collections merch tab, and you get you those shirts, those hoodies, all of that stuff today, courtesy of TDAwear.com, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Well, we had the spring game. We had spring practice. We saw some of the early enrollees step up and do some things in the A-Day game, whether it was Ajay Hall stepping up or Deontay Lawson stepping up. JaQuincy, Kool-Aid, McKinstry did his thing. So we saw some of the early enrollees do their thing in the spring. But now we're about to jump into the summer. And this is where, the summer guys, the May and June guys, they get in here and they have an opportunity to have some type of an impact here on this team. Now, the difference is the summer guys, they don't get a spring, right? They didn't get to learn the offense or learn the defense or learn the system at a snail's pace. So now they have to jump in here, right? In 7-on-7, 11-on-11, team workout, team bonding things, and show the coaching staff and the players around them that they are the real deal. They have to go into fall camp and rapid, fast pace prove themselves that they're better than the spring enrollees and they're better than the upperclassmen on the team. And we have seen in different situations where some summer enrollees have done this. Case in point, remember Minkah Fitzpatrick? I mean, he was not a spring guy in 2015. Oh, no, he wasn't. He was a summer guy in 2015. And he came in and darn near won 2 jobs in the secondary. He took star from Tony Brown and almost took corner from Marlon Humphrey. So, Minkah Fitzpatrick came in and did some big-time things as a summer enrollee. I want to say Calvin Ridley was a summer enrollee 2015. He came in and he, shuffled some things up, ruffled some things up. When he got out there on the field and showed that Coach Saban and the offensive staff could not keep him off the field. So we have seen a few times where some summer guys have come in. They have proven that you cannot deny me. You cannot keep me away. Here recently, remember Malachi Moore? He comes in, and I remember there was one practice last year where he was not supposed to hit Julio Jones' bell. It was a kind of a 2-hand touch drill, and Malachi just thumped Julio Jones' bell to the ground. And the coaching staff was like, whoa here. This guy, this Malachi Moore kid, let's play him now. Let's play him now. Let's get him out here on the field right now. So we have seen this happen with summer enrollees, but the question is, are there guys in this 2021 class, the best class on paper that Saban has ever put together in his tenure? Are there summer enrollees right now that can come in here and have that type of an impact where they turn heads, they break necks, they capture attention, and they have Nick Saban going, okay, I cannot not put this guy on the field. I have to play this kid. I have to play this dude. I have to put this guy on the field. So we're going to get into my 5 summer enrollees that have a big opportunity to get some things done here coming up in the next couple of months or so, starting off, of course, next month and going into June. First guy off the rip, JoJo Earle. JoJo Earle at wide receiver. JoJo Earle to me, I mean, and I've mentioned this before, when he flipped from LSU to Alabama in the early signing period back in December, people were shocked. People did not, December of last year, of course, people did not think that he was going to flip. And when he flipped, people were like, who is this dude? And you go and watch the tape and you're like, okay, this is Jalen Waddle 2.0. This is incredible how Alabama was able to swipe him away from the LSU Tigers. And he's 5'9", 170, 80 pounds, give or take there. And this is a dude that, I mean, quickness, speed, athleticism, agility. He's got the ability to craft his routes very well, get up and down the field, create that separation off the line of scrimmage, and he's been working all off season, thus far with a wide receiver coach, a guy that's really good at helping premier athletes craft their routes, get open, create that separation immediately, and just make plays happen. And while Alabama had Christian Leary and Aijha Hall and Ja'Cory Brooks on the field in the spring, and though it's got John Mechie and Slade Bolden and Xavier Williams and Javon Baker and Trayshawn Holden, though it's got a deep receiver room, keep your eyes on JoJo Earle. Like I mentioned, Calvin Ridley came in here in the summer, and you could not deny him. JoJo Earle has that type of ability as a receiver and as a return specialist to come in here, create some waves, create some noise, create some chaos, and have Holman Wiggins, wide receivers coach, Bill O'Brien, offensive coordinator, and Coach Saban as head coach going, we have got to find some way to get this young brother on the field because he's just that dynamic. So number one to me is JoJo Earl. Moving on to number two, for me, I go to the secondary where we pick up Kyrie Jackson for JUCO at 6'4". That type of size, I just want to see that on the field because that's Richard Sherman type size at 6'4". He would have the ability to get into a wide receiver and just frustrate that guy for the entire game. He would have the ability to take that particular wide receiver out of its rhythm, out of its element throughout just the entire game. And I understand Bama's got experience with Josh Jobe. It's got a guy in Jalen Armour Davis who has dug himself out of a hole, and he's looking like he will be the second starting corner there on the first team defense. And it's got, guys also, it's got, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and it's got other guys coming in like Devontae Smith and Kadarius Callaway and so many others. But I look at this young man in Kyrie Jackson, that type of size, that type of length, that type of athleticism. I want to see, can it work on the field in a Nick Saban defense where you've got Jay Valide coaching you up there at the cornerback position, and of course Pete Golding as the defensive coordinator. And after losing a JUCO in Ronald Williams Jr. to the transfer portal, definitely want to see this JUCO and Jackson come in here, hone his skills, see if he can pass somebody up and earn a spot to get some playing time on the field. That's number two, Kyrie Jackson. Number three, Kamar Wheaton at running back. And somebody is going to be left unhappy here in this running back room. I mean, we've seen where Saban is not afraid to put a freshman in front of anybody. I mentioned this. Ronald Williams Jr. was looking to play this year. Coach Saban loves himself some Kool-Aid. Put Kool-Aid right in front of Williams. Williams is in the transfer portal. We've seen it with Coach Saban put Bryce Young right there in front of Paul Tyson. Bryce Young doing his thing right now on the field, projected to be the starting quarterback, as he should be, because he had a phenomenal spring, an outstanding spring, and the guys have really bought into what he could do on the field at quarterback. So we've noticed that Saban has never been afraid of putting a freshman over somebody else. If the best player at that position is a freshman, Saban will do it. We saw it in the national championship game against Georgia, the 2018 game off the 17 season. He put Tua Tagovailoa in there in the second half to win the national championship. So while you've got six other backs here on the roster and discussing Brian Robinson, Jace McClellan, Keelan Robinson, Trey Sanders, Roydell Williams, and Kyle Edwards, Kamar Wheaton is not coming in thinking he's going to redshirt. Kamar Wheaton is coming in thinking, I'm going to steal playing time from somebody. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it may be. I'm coming in to grab some chicken away from somebody. I'm here to take somebody's cookies. I'm here to take somebody's candy. I'm here to take somebody's drink. I'm here to rob some playing time away from somebody. And Kamar Wheaton is a guy coming out of Texas, a 5-star that, a lot of fans, you guys feel like, this is a guy that's just as good, if not better, than the other backs here on the roster. So can he come in here and take carries and take reps from somebody? Going to be very interesting to see, but he's the number 3 guy there, running back Kamar Wheaton. Going on down to number 4, as much as I do like Kendrick Blackshear, and as much as I have said he is the love child of Reuben Foster, the son of Reuben Foster in my opinion, and as much as I've talked about how if he has cleaned up his footwork, his lateral quickness, it'll be interesting to see him an inside linebacker, I'm actually going to go with Dallas Turner, the outside backer. And the reason why is this kid is explosive. You watch him on tape, he's getting to the quarterback, he's stopping the run, He converts speed to power. He has tremendous hands. He plays with really strong leverage, can shed offensive linemen and just attack the ball and attack whomever has the ball. Here's a situation where Sal Sunseri is concerned. You've got a Chris Allen. You've got a Will Anderson. Next in line, you've got guys like Chris Braswell, Drew Sanders, King Wakuda. But can Dallas Turner sort of infiltrate this? He's another one of those he's another one of those 5-star guys. Can he infiltrate this outside linebacker room? Young man from Florida, get on the field, turn some heads, and really create some stuff. Because once again, he's got talent, he's got ability, he's got big play potential. So here is one, Dallas Turner, excited to see what he can do. And then last but not least, on the defensive line, this brings up Damon Payne. No relation to Daron Payne, but you've already got Monkel Goodwine already here. Spring enrollee, early enrollee, and Goodwine gave a lot of great effort there in practice. But with Damon Payne, a 5-star athlete, somebody of whom can rush the quarterback, that can play the run, that commands a double team, that can two-gap, that can do a lot of things there on that defensive line in terms of taking up 2 blocks, creating space, and freeing up one-on-ones for defensive ends, outside linebackers, and inside linebackers that love to rush. But he can also slip inside and create some big plays to the opposing team's run or pass game himself. So can Payne come in here, and with how deep this defensive line is, it's going to be tough on Payne because you've gotten so many guys. You've got 8 to 10 guys deep here on the defensive front, on the defensive rotation, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing insurmountable for him to do. So it'll be fun to watch Damon Payne as well. But just running through here, my 5 guys in discussing JoJo Earle, Kyrie Jackson, Kamar Wheaton, Dallas Turner, and Damon Payne. Can one of these guys, can a couple of these guys, can any of these guys be able to come in here and create some mayhem, create some noise, create some waves, and have an opportunity as summer enrollees to get on the field and craft a role for themselves? But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being Alabama football. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be in the description. Also, if you're trying to be one of the first to get the new print magazine coming soon, you can do this by going to touchdownalabama.com. You click join and become a member, a subscriber today. That link is in the description. And also, you can cop that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children continue doing the right thing, the fun thing, the smart thing, the legitimate thing, to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself. Protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and this has been In My Own Words.